Well, this is something that may be of interest to you people. This is my setup. This is my garage. My space for... Oh, sorry, puffed here. Just been pushing the Mark II for the MKII. Going to give that a blowout because too many leaves there. This is how I get my Mark II up onto my ramp, because it hasn't run yet. It will, but not yet. So I've got a nice piece of soft rope wrapped around the cross member. I've got my little Harbour Freight winch bolted to my ramp, and it's not going to go anywhere. This ramp isn't bolted down, by the way, in case any of you think it is. It's not. It just sits on the ground, but it weighs so much that when you're bringing a car up onto it, it don't go nowhere. And when you're pulling a car on and the weight of the car is already on the ramp, beep, beep. Anyway, so here we go. Take up the slack, and there she is, on the ramp, ready for me to do my shit tomorrow. Oh, you cannot imagine how pleased I am about this. That has been off my ramp since I took the rear axle out. And one of the first things I want to do is try and get the rear axle aligned. Also, you will notice it's very high at the front. And I was just chatting with my friend Dave out in Austria, Classic Car Cave Dave. Go to him. He's a good guy and he's got lots of interesting stuff. It sits high. When I put all the suspension together, I did it up tight. Mistake. And I was telling Dave what I've got to do. I mean, because I looked at it and go, why is it like that? I've got to loosen all the suspension off, then bounce on it a few times and leave it loose. Put a note in the file, like have a separate file of things to remember, to tighten up all the suspension nuts, bolts, joints. Because otherwise I'm just going to tear all of my lovely bushes. So you've got to make sure, and that's the same for any car you work on. If you do work on the suspension, do not tighten up, you know, control arms, whatever, until you've got the full weight on the car. Now obviously, because my car is not complete, that's a little tricky, but I can still make the front look a bit better. And as I mentioned, and I've told my wife, she's agreed to sit in the boot. She says, as long as I don't shut the lid. Like I want a rotting body in the back of my car. No, I'm just being silly. So now maybe I can really get on with this. And that means you guys will get a lot of videos. Yeah. All right. Oh, by the way, at the moment, I know I keep mentioning temperature here. Today's a mere 114. I jumped in my truck where I keep a pair of these gloves. They were too hot to put on. I had to come in the garage and get another pair. The heat's nice, but whoa, it has its limits. Right, now I got to move everything back to where it should be. And, sit and look at my car. Back in a minute. Right, now I've finally got it back on the ramp. We'll start to move on with some things. Excuse me. And point out a couple of things that have got to be dealt with. Silly shit like this. Now you may wonder what the hell that is. That's actually a breather pipe from the fuel filler, I believe. Geez, I've got to chase it back now. I can't remember whether that was from the tank as a breather or whether that was from the fuel filler as a drain. Don't know. I'm going to have to find that out again. Okay. I've got all my exhaust brackets in the way now. What's in the way, in the place? Got the clamps here ready for the UJ, and I've already refitted the UJ for the drive shaft or the prop shaft. Let me see what we got here. The panhard rod, as someone reminded me the name of that, thank you. That is in position now. I can't tighten this nut without this turning, and I can't get enough grip on this. What I'm going to have to do is use a pair of vice grips on here, and then afterwards clean it up and paint the damaged area, which is a great shame because I powder coated that. But I've got to get that nut tight and squeeze this up. That's meant to centralize the rear axle, which, okay, all well and good. You know, it'll put it in that direction or push it in that direction, whichever. But the issue I have with my rear axle is that the back of this rear wheel is touching the arch. And there is a gap here. In fact, let me show you. You see the gap there between the spat and the tyre? About, what, let's say an inch, maybe a generous inch. And this side, half an inch. So I need to bring the axle forward by half an inch. Now, I had replaced all of these, and I thought, oh shit, maybe when I put this in, I got this one too far back. But, he says, when I looked here, this is the original chassis. That was not touched. And this bracket obviously isn't a flexible point. It is fixed. It's fixed here, there, and there. And those obviously align with the holes in this new piece that I put in. Same on this side. This is part of the chassis, part of the original chassis. So that cannot move, and again, that's fixed, that's fixed, that's fixed, which means that's fixed, which is the new piece that I put in. So that floors me as to why the rear axle isn't sitting as I expect it to. However, as this vehicle has not been driven, and you know, things haven't settled, I'm going to leave it like that. I may have to take the rear spats off so I don't cause any damage, and drive it a little bit and, you know, jam on the brakes hard a few times and reverse hard a few times to see if things move and settle. That's my hope. We will see. Now, everything under here was new, including the springs. I haven't done it yet, but maybe I should measure the springs, see if one is longer than the other. Wouldn't that be a pisser? I bought those God knows how many years ago. Shit. I can't even remember. It was that long ago that I bought those. All right, so let's move on from that. My brake cable got a little chippy on the paint, so I'm going to give that a touch up. It may have even been powder coat, I can't remember. Come to think of it, I don't think it was. I think it was that Hammerite crap, which is why it's coming off, of course. Brake line is in and ready, and that's my task for today, is to put in the solid brake line, which is going to go along here. Something I got to bear in mind is that I've also got to bring a fuel line along here. So I've got to leave enough room for the fuel line, which is quite thick, and the brake line, and I don't really want it chafing up against this edge here, you know, vibration cutting through. So what I may have to do is take the fuel line up here and not try and squeeze it through that gap, and then just take the brake line through that gap as high as I can get it. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm going to do. Pretty sure. And that's the only thing about me that is pretty. The handbrake cable here was dangling down. I thought, oh, that's crap. You don't want that hanging down. So I've just drilled a hole, put a spring in that holds it in position. You know, when you pull the brake on and off, it'll slide in and out through that spring. Not a big deal, just, you know, it was one of those annoying little things that bugged me, and I think, Is that how they did it originally? I guess it was. Okay. Oh, sorry. It's gone dark. Heat shields are in. A bit dusty. I'm going to give them a bit of a dust off. In little areas like this that got missed with the spray on under seal when the guys did it. Annoying. I'm going to get myself a little tin that I can brush on because I don't want to have to mask shit up all the time. Here I have a bolt that came loose, and this is part of the gearbox mount, which is, you can see, the gearbox is not really mounted at the moment. It's just got suspenders on in midair. Got to figure that out. You know, there's little pieces of metal up there that are touching it that I've got to sort out, and up there because I've had to cut the transmission tunnel. That's going to be fun when I come to put the interior in. What else have we got? Well, when I do the rear brake line, which as I said comes all the way along here, my initial plan was to just make the end off that goes at the axle end and then just slide the pipe through here. I thought, yeah, that's a good idea, Gary. Well, that is until you realise you also got to make the other end off, and then you won't be able to slide it through there. Okay, I don't know why. There are two brackets there. There was originally two holes, so I put two brackets on, and I'm looking at it now going, why do I need two? I think I'll probably take this one out. I don't really think that needs to be there, so I'll remove that. And then let's see, what have we got here? We got one there as well. Then what I'm going to have to do is turn the pipe up onto this lip here. Sorry, the light's flickering. Up onto this lip here. I would like to get to that hole up there, but there's an oil filter in the way, and I'm not taking that off because that means all the oil will come pissing out. I've got to clean up the inside of my tyres. This is from when they were fitted. I've got some special cleaner for that, so that's not a problem. I loosened off all the front suspension and the sway bar. The thing still sits rock solid, and it will not settle down. So I'm going to have to leave that loose and just, you know, drive it up and down the driveway a few times when I've got it running. But until I've got the brakes done and the fuel system in, and mounted the gearbox, and got the alternator in position, that ain't going to happen, is it? I can do it without coolant in there, so you know, that may be one of the last things I do. But I certainly won't be running the engine long. And then once I'm sure the alignment is correct, then I can paint these. I don't want to do it yet, and I will have to go, I don't know where. I've got to find someone who understands these vehicles. I believe there are a couple of places out here in Phoenix. And I don't want them to be grabbing on here with a pair of vice grips when all they need to do is undo these two nuts, and then this will twist by hand. What else have I discovered? Oh, the steering box seems to have a leak. Brand new steering box, not even used, and it's leaking. I say brand new, sorry, refurbished. So I got to figure that out. I got to figure out why that is leaking and try and stop that. It never fucking ends. It's very dusty under here, but that is certainly something I will be dealing with. I've done the brake pipe on this side, and I'm in two minds now. One, and Dave, my friend, said, why don't you put it underneath? Well, that's the same problem, Dave. I can't put it underneath the sway bar. It makes no fucking difference. But then again, he couldn't see it, so he wouldn't know. Get longer ones of these. Then I could bring it underneath. Or put a sleeve on here, like a rubber sleeve, so that when it touches it, it doesn't cause a problem. I also discovered that the I think I might have mentioned this before. These two braided pipes, these braided hoses are the same part number, but the nuts on the end, the bracket end, up there, are different sizes. So that pisses me off. Even though the pipes are the same length, for some reason they put a different size on. Don't ask me why. It's made by Goodrich. Perhaps they get them made in China. Who knows? Let's see, what else? Apart from, as I said, it needs a fucking good clean under here. Oh, the breather hose. There it is there. I've now fixed that. Yep. Put a nice little bracket and spacer in there. Brought that down. And that's from that California emissions ship. Fortunately, I don't need to worry about that with the classic vehicle. Oh yeah, that I've still got that grommet to do up there. I think I'm going to have to take that plate off, get a new grommet. And that's a real pain in the ass to do because it usually needs two people, one to hold the nut on this side. What I will probably have to do to make life easier for me is I'll replace those nuts with riv nuts. That way at least I don't have to have another person out here helping me. Oh, and the starter, I got to put that jump wire on the starter. Of course the starter is held in with a nut and a bolt. So I've got to get that done. A pain in the ass that is. Oh, I got the cover to put on here. I tell you, once you start getting underneath and you start looking at shit, you realise how much more there is to do. Gearbox has no oil in it. Rear diff has no oil in it. Holy cannoli. All right. For the moment, I think that's it. I've done a lot of prattling here, but I just wanted to update you guys so that... Oops, I'm caught up on me. Hang on a second. Got caught up on my luxurious garage carpet. Oh, and that, there you go. Something else. I got to do the clutch hydraulics. Okay, so my plan is finish off the brakes. So I've got to do the one for the left side of the car. I got to do the back. I got to get the brake booster cover sorted out. Get the brake booster mounted. Get the vacuum tank mounted, and the vacuum shield. Once I've done all the brake hydraulics, then in theory I can fill the brake system with fluid and bleed it. Of course, once I've attached the reservoir and the master cylinder. Crap. Then I can put the fuel line in and the clutch line. Then I've got to take the carburetors off before that to give me more room. I'd only just rested the carburetors there purely because I just wanted to get them out of my way. Now I'm going to take them off so that I can finish off the brake and the fuel lines. Wow. I tell you what, I don't know, I'll stack up in your head. All right, as I said, that's enough prattling from me for the moment. Let's get on and do something. Well, I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to push this video out now as it is. It's nothing special. I'm just looking here, what's that? Why is there a stain there? I don't know what that is. Oh, very odd. Not like there's anything leaking, is it? No, it doesn't appear to be leaking. Okay, I don't know. Maybe I spilt something when I was putting it together, or maybe it might have been, I don't know what it might have been. Oh, because I would have, there's the cork seal back there, I might have lubricated that, and that's some of that just eased out. All right. Holy shit. Anyway, as I said, I'm going to push this video out now. Guys, do remember I'm selling lots of Mark II parts. So if any of you watching need some Mark II parts, do give me a shout. I've got all sorts of crap. You know, some chrome and switches and all sorts of odd clips. And I tell you what, I got so much shit I can't even tell you what I've got at the moment. I did do a video earlier on some of the stuff I had, but I've collected a lot more since then. All right, enough prattling. Get on, do some shit.